Yeah.
Hi, everyone. Dom Famularo, and I am back with a dear friend of mine. This is so great to have this opportunity that Mapex allows us on Facebook, and eventually these interviews are then put on the Mapex YouTube channel. It's Mapex All Access, and I have with me today a dear friend of mine, Bruno Meeus from Antwerp, Belgium, coming live.
Cheers, Dom. How are you? How's the weather?
Thanks, Bruno. Thanks for joining me, and thanks for being a part of these interview series. You know, Bruno, we go back a long way, and we've done many things together, which we'll for sure talk about. But I know you're in your studio now in Antwerp, and I know with the pandemic, all the schools that you were teaching at are all shut down. Belgium has a tight lockdown, and here we are. We are lost and gone. This is the power of the internet. Absolutely fantastic. We're going to stay live right now, and I'm going to call Bruno up on the phone, and I'm going to see exactly what happened with his connection here. Bruno was off. Bruno was a phenomenal drummer. He's got like several different bands that he does that is just so great, especially some Zeppelin bands.
I know.
Bruno, you logged off. I'm trying to find out if I can get you back on.
What do you want me to do?
Well, you logged off, so you're not on the screen. I'm live right now. I'd like you to try and see if you can rejoin on that link that I sent you.
Okay.
Let's see if we can make it happen. Let's see if we can bring Bruno back in. As soon as I see him on here, I'll bring his image and screen into this. This is fantastic. So what Mapex does is they allow us to have this kind of a vehicle, which is literally on Mondays at 2:00. And I get a chance to bring all these fantastic drummers on. I have had so many great drummers from all around the world. And as you can see, some of the technology challenges in what we have here just offers a challenge of trying to bring these people in. And sometimes with the Wi-Fi connection and the internet connection, and of course, us going live from my studio in New York to Antwerp, Belgium. We'll see what happens. We have different people that are signing on. I've got Simon Bejaring. Simon Bejaring, who's a phenomenal student of mine, who was originally from Denmark, got married to a wonderful girl here in the U.S., and now he lives upstate New York. He's got a wonderful home that he has. He's putting his new studio together. Simon, thank you so much for joining us here. We also have Claude Hoffman, another phenomenal student of mine that is joining us. Claude, I've already interviewed for several of these interviews that are going on, but Claude is a phenomenal drummer that's teaching also in Belgium, and he teaches also at a school in Luxembourg, and I've had the chance of being able to join him there and do some teaching at the schools that are there. And Claude also has a great studio at his home, and it's just great to see Claude joining us. Simon, thank you so much for joining us. Simon joins us all the time at these different interviews, and it's great to have everyone join us along here. We also have Lima El Jandro. I'm not exactly sure who that is, but thank you for joining us here. And I've got Peggy Ertz. Go Bruno Meeus. Well, we're hoping that we can go if Bruno can log back on. Are you close, Bruno, to logging on? I need you to log back on, Bruno. I need you to, your image is not here. It logged off of the site. So I need you to go back on. Yeah, there it is. Let's see if we have this here. Let's bring Bruno back in.
Yes.
There it is. Bruno is
back myself.
He's back in right now, Bruno. Thanks so much. So
No,
I was going down by letting you know who people that have joined us here. Simon Bejari, Claude Hoffman, Lima Alejandro. I'm not sure who that is. If you know who that is. Do you know who that is?
I haven't seen him yet.
All right, and Peggy Ertz. Do you know who Peggy is?
Yeah, she's my psychiatrist. I know her personally.
Well, Peggy, it's so great to join us. And as musicians who need absolute mental help, thank you so much for being a part of our lives, Peggy. I look forward to meeting you someday and telling you some of my challenges. Absolutely.
Yeah, she's great.
That is fantastic.
Yeah.
And we also have Juancho Martinez, baterista from Argentina, I believe. Well, fantastic. So already, Bruno, you can see people are logging in from all around the world. Bruno, I want to start by asking, when you started, what brought you into playing drums? What was the first attraction for you to play drums?
Well, basically, it was mainly TV shows. I remember in 1973, I saw The Who on television, and they were like, it was a very progressive band. Lots of stuff happened. The year after, I saw Queen on television, and then all the other great progressive bands, and I thought, I want to do that also. So I tried to design my own drum set at the age of 11. So I went in at washing powder drums. You remember those?
Yes.
So I had 12 of those. And that was my drum set. And I had a little tape recorder with music. I couldn't hear because it was too small. And so I played all day long on the washing powder drum set. That was it. And then a year after, I got a real progressive drum set from my mother because I had a very good report at school. But it was a 16-inch bass drum, a 10-inch tom, 14-inch floor tom, and a 12-inch ride. It was a splash, but a bit frustrating, but I managed to do it. And then I bought my first ride, a crash cymbal, a real great crash cymbal. It was a paste, but I didn't have any money. So there was this school manifestation. We had to sell stickers door to door with the logo of the school. And I think I won that contest. And I sold the stickers double priced. And 1.5 of the money was for my new cymbal. So, but I wasn't allowed to go to the city yet to a music store. And there was a little gangster, I think he was 15 and knew everything and stuff. And I told him, I want a real cymbal. Okay, give me $100 or something. So he went off to the city. 2 days after, he came back with a paste Istanbul 18-inch. And I was very happy. And then my career started.
Well, that's so the bands that you were listening to Queen, Led Zeppelin, Deep Purple. Were those some of the bands you were listening to?
Mainly, that's my foundation. That's the foundation. Because if you listen to Made in Japan, you know Made in Japan from Deep Purple?
Yeah, sure.
They're constant, like, doing stuff like Ian Gillan imitates the guitar solo from Ritchie Blackmore. And that was amazing to hear that stuff like that was possible. Also, the song remains the same, the live album of Led Zeppelin.
Yeah.
All these weird things happened, and it was so funny to listen to, and so nice to learn that stuff. It was very interesting for me.
So what was it about, let's take Zeppelin. What was it about John Bonham's playing that really reached you? What was it about his playing that just said to you, well, this guy's got it all together?
Mainly his grooves. He's loud and powerful grooves. That was like, you never forget Bonham if you hear him once. Mm. So, but also his way of improvising. It was almost jazz, like improvising in jazz music, but then with hard rock. And yeah, it was so beautiful to listen to. He was very versatile too. And therefrom, I learned that you can indeed combine many different styles together. And that's what I wanted to do, like learn all these styles apart, like pop, rock, classic, jazz, reggae, whatever, and put them all together and do something useful with it. Make the people happy. That's the basic.
Making people happy. That is the goal. Make the people happy, for sure. Well, that really is what we strive to do every day in our life. Play music,
making them forget their problems, make them pay tickets, and we make them happy. That's it.
Pretty powerful. It's a pretty powerful art form. So at that point, did you start taking lessons when you were younger?
When I was 14, I went into a music store in Antwerp, Mills Music Store, and there was a guy with very long hair. And I was like, wow, he's got long hair. I want to be with him. He was a drum teacher. So took like 10 lessons each week, and he learned me how to write drum transcriptions. He learned me, Ian Pace plays this and that. That's what he plays. Learn it. The snare is on that line, the bass drum there, cymbals are crosses. His name was Jan Kuivers, and he played in one of the best pop bands ever existed in Belgium, Soul Sister. But I learned from him a lot. Then, wait, that was a long way then, but another teacher I met is Joe Morello. That was a couple of years later when I went to New York City. And they gave me his phone number and they told me, phone Joe. Okay, Joe, is he still alive? Wow, okay. So I phoned him and I said, Bruno, you're from Belgium. I said, yeah. Can I come from some lessons, please? Belgium, great chocolate. Yes, come tomorrow. But he had a line of students waiting for months, and I could come tomorrow because we have great chocolate. Isn't that great? So the next day I took a Greyhound bus to New Jersey. He was in that drum store or music store. And he entered the drum hall, the drum booth with a white cane. I didn't know he was blind.
Yeah.
But there he was, Joe Morello, and I think I was there for 2 hours. And he never really teach something. We were laughing all the time with stuff he told me and swapping knowledge about drumming. And yeah, it was a nice lesson, but I knew he didn't have to teach me anything. I was with Joe Morello, and that was enough, you know. And okay, through the years, I met Dave Weckl because this is quite a story. The first time I went to New York, I met John Riley the first night in a bar, a jazz cafe in 99th Street on a corner somewhere. He was playing jazz, and I met him a half year before on a Maastricht Jazz Festival in Holland. So after the show, we got together, and like usual, I had all my transcriptions in my pocket, and I said, oh, show me what you got. He was very pleased to see that because at DCI, Drummers Collective, they were busy with making the book from the video from Dave Weckl, which I already transcribed totally. So I had a deal with DCI. They gave me a contract and a green light to be at DCI for 3 weeks all the time. So I met Weckl there and we talked about stuff, and I learned a lot from Weckl because he's very sophisticated and very dynamic.
Yeah.
And that's what I was looking for. And years later, when he came to Belgium, he said, come backstage, and after we go to the hotel and we have a drink in the lobby. And there he told me, and that was really nice to hear from him. He told me, when I was young and I studied like the press roll, I did it for 40 minutes. I watched the clock for 40 minutes with the hands of a second hand. And I thought, wow. And in Belgium, everybody's always telling me, you practice too much. Don't do this, don't do that. That's too much, that's too many. But Weckl told me, I practiced 40 minutes on that and 60 minutes on that. And I thought, wow, that's a great lesson.
Yeah.
It was beautiful. I learned a lot from Dave, yeah.
Well, it sounds like you were able to meet some fantastic players. I mean, Dave Weckl and John Riley are just wonderful, wonderful players. And they're both excellent educators in what they do. So that's just so great that you had that opportunity.
Also, Rob Carson, you know him?
Yes, a rudimental drummer. Absolutely, Rob.
Yes, a 3 times world champion. And to my connection with Virgil Donati, he gave me his number. And he taught me all of the backsticking and the twirls and very hard training. And a lovely guy. He didn't look like a drummer when I saw him. I thought, oh, John, he's a small guy. Yeah, nice guy. But
and
also Virgil, yeah.
Where did you meet Rob?
Rob, in LA. I was in LA. I was visiting Virgil Donati. I came there to meet Donati because Donati's total other story. In 1998, I was invited to do a drum manifestation in the Paradiso in Amsterdam with lots of phenomenal drummers. And I was lucky enough to share the backstage with Virgil Donati. Mm. And of course, I had always my transcriptions, and I also transcribed his DVD. And he said, "Oh, show me." And wow, he was very pleased. And then Virgil asked me my card, my business card, and I didn't hear him for a while. But half a year later, I came home, and Virgil Donati was on my answer machine. And he said, Warner Bros. Is going to send you 8 tracks of my new CD, and you're going to transcribe them. I said, okay, and Warner Bros. Is going to pay you. Oh, that's great. Okay. So I had a couple of months to transcribe the material, which was very rough, knowing Virgil.
Yeah.
And but he was happy with it, and that was my first international career as a transcriber. Let me say it like that. And recently he asked me to do another book, but that's not to the point yet. So
Well, that's very interesting. Well, so you're meeting all these different players. So now you're flying yourself around to New York, to LA. You're meeting these people.
Yes,
Were there many artists that were coming into Belgium at that time?
from the States.
Yeah.
Well, each time Weckel came, I went to see him. Donati came, I went to see him as well. I was allowed to join the rehearsals in the halls they played. Basically, the last 10 or 15 years was only Dave Weckel and Virgil Donati, but also Vinnie Colaiuta. I met Vinnie also in 99 or 98 at a concert of Sting in Brussels. And I was asked to do an interview with Vinnie by a drum magazine. I said, oh, thank you. And so I went backstage, and I was for 1 hour and a half together in one room with Vinnie Colaiuta. And it was weird. After 1 hour, I think half an hour, he said, I don't want to talk about drums anymore. Let's talk about Bosnia or something. And then we went to the whole universe of subjects, and it was very nice to talk with him. Even took the hand of Sting. It was a beautiful night, and yeah, great player.
Well, you really have had some incredible opportunities. Let's go back. Your first concert, if I remember, was when you were 12 years old?
11 or 12. That was with a couple of older guys in a basement somewhere, in a villa from the guitar player. And we basically only played at school parties or weddings. And yeah, there was great lesson for me anyway, because I also learned that gigging a lot means you need a drum carpet. You know, my first gig for 400 people, I was 12. We started, and after half a minute, my bass drum went away. And the whole concert, someone was standing there holding the bass drum. And yeah, I remember I didn't have money for a carpet. So I took some cords and tied them up to my drum chair and to the bass drum. And you find a lot of systems to get away with. So that was my first concert. And yeah, we always had to do with crappy material in the beginning.
Yeah.
I played with one pair of sticks 1 year long. You know, they were worn out totally, but they were my sticks, you know. So yeah, it was a special time. Yeah.
Well, there were very, very different times years ago, and plus,
yes,
there was
no internet, no telephone, no GSM.
there was very, very little opportunity to even have music stores that had all the right product.
Yeah.
That was a change too. Trying to find some place that even had the drumsticks. Listen,
Yes.
in our time that people will not remember, when I went to buy drumsticks when I was younger, we had to go to a counter, take all the drumsticks out, and roll them.
Oh yeah.
To see which ones were not warped, which ones were straight, and make our own pairs in the actual. So now the companies are so more fine-tuned at what they do. It's really, really fantastic to experience what's happening.
Now they're throwing with drumsticks to my head. Yeah. I mean, endorsement-wise, I mean, yeah. I remember I was for years and years on the Frankfurt Fair, asking Marco Soccoli. Remember Marco? Eh?
Yeah,
Hey
great.
Marco, I want to have an endorsement with Vickford, please. I have 100 gigs a year and this and that, and yeah, no, we have too many endorsees, blah blah blah. Okay, and one night I was out with you on a restaurant and with I think Dave Weckl, Bill Zildjian, Andy Zildjian, and a lot of prominent people. And we were having fun, drinking grappa, taking the cab to the Mercure Hotel, remember?
I sure do.
And I, I think I was hanging between Dave Weckl and Billy Zildjian, and there was Marco Soccoli watching me. Huh? And after that, he came to me, "You're in. Come tomorrow to my office, have a coffee." And so I had my endorsement like that, crazy.
Well, this is a business about relationships.
Yeah.
And in relationships, as people get to know each other, and I want everyone to listen that is listening now to understand it's still that way. It's a business of relationships. And as you mentioned, the Frankfurt Music Messe, which was a show like we have in America, the NAMM show. It was a big music show. And for many, many years, the NAMM show would happen in January, as it still does. We call it Winter NAMM. And everyone loves going out to California in January, especially if you're coming from New York the way I am, where we're freezing in New York. We fly out to California and it's fantastic. So with that, after the NAMM show would happen, a month or two later, there would be a big show in Germany, in Frankfurt, called the Messe. And we would all meet there again. And thousands of musicians would show up, and it was just some great, great shows. And many times we would perform there. So it was a lot of great fun to have those opportunities to meet all those great people.
Yeah, and all those great people, like I remember Danny Gottlieb from Pat Metheny, Dennis Chambers, Vinny, they were all also teaching there. They gave master classes, they gave demos. That was the highlights of the year going to the Frankfurt Fair. It was beautiful.
It really was. It's changed now. The Frankfurt Fair has become a much smaller show.
It's closed.
And now it's now it's done. So it's a shame to see that the music industry. But I think this pandemic has also been a challenge. It has absolutely changed the music industry. It has shut down all the performances. I mean, how is Belgium now in the pandemic?
Belgium, we have lots of ministers here and lots of decisions, but let's say it's kind of liberal at this point. We are allowed to go outside, but we're not allowed to rehearse. Yeah, we're allowed to go without a mask on the street, but in shops, in stations, and official buildings, we have to wear those. But on the other hand, they make ridiculous laws in this country. Like the other week, there's this new law. Each train you take to the Belgian coast, you have to sit at the window side. So the place next to you is forbidden, okay? Now, if you return from the Belgian coast, inward the country, you can sit anywhere. I don't understand. Do you? That's the Belgian law.
Well, what you're talking about are the concepts of politicians, and I don't understand any politicians. So that's kind of that's a hard one to understand for sure.
Yeah. Well, each week they invent new rules that they can't comply with. And then the week after there's someone else saying, yeah, you should do this and that, blah blah blah. Nobody understands it. People get sad, frustrated. They come on the street with thousands of people without any masks, and so we still can't play gigs because of all those things that happen. That's sad.
Well,
sorry, Dom. A couple of friends of my musicians where I played with committed suicide because of that. They lost their world. They were used to get to do concerts each week, festivals, whatever. It's gone. They didn't have anything else to do, and then they got lost and they stopped living.
Well, this definitely has been a difficult time for everyone in every country, and dealing with the pandemic. If we can, have some common sense rules: wear a mask, wash your hands, socially distance. I've already gotten my 2 vaccination shots, so I've got my 2 shots. It'll be a couple of weeks and a few days. So that kind of hopefully can help us to overcome this.
You look better.
I feel fantastic, absolutely. But interesting. Now, I got to ask you, your first tour was with a Scottish new wave band, the Hunting Party. How old were you when you played that party?
I was 18.
And you went to Scandinavia, you went to or throughout Benelux area?
Yeah, and it was weird because I was a young guy and then everything was still possible. And I remember only party sphere, and we went by train on tour. I didn't have any drum kit, but somehow there was always a drum kit somewhere where we had to play.
Yeah.
We visited great studios in Scandinavia, Norway and Copenhagen. But after 3 weeks touring, we were out of money and we had to stay there for 4 other weeks and get some money somewhere else to pay the train. And it was very challenging period. Yeah, I remember. But once I played with the Wizards of Oz. It's a Belgian funky concept. You can compare it with Frank Zappa a little bit, but more poppy, right?
So it was kind of like a pop fusion band, the Wizards of Oz.
Yes.
Yeah.
And we had like 3 CDs. We played in 12 countries, and we did almost 400 or 500 gigs, festivals. We also played as well on rock festivals as jazz festivals, and that was very interesting.
Yeah.
So we were everywhere. That was a great time. Very funky.
And you were with that band for many, many years, right?
Yeah, for 9 years.
9 years, yeah.
Yeah.
And it was and you were playing a wide variety of music?
Yeah, it's a concept. It's fusion. We played modern pop, jazzy feel, shuffle, hard rock. Yeah, it was very challenging. It was a great concept.
This was all original music.
All original music, and we invited special guests like the singers from Zap Mama. Ever heard of that band?
Sure, yeah.
Black girls with a funky rhythm section.
Yeah.
And they were also with us. And yeah, it was a very challenging period for me anyway. And
who did a lot of the writing for that band?
There were 2 guys in the band who did the capital writing. That was the guitar player, singer, and the keyboard man, singer. And that was also the first time in my life I was confronted. I mean, when I was young, I saw the albums of Queen and Deep Purple, and there was always the 5 members who got the royalties for most of the songs. In this band, it was the first time 2 guys, the writers, got away with almost everything, and the rest of the band get a percentage. And that was weird for me. But this is with a lot of bands, but I didn't know this. This was a real confrontation. So
do you play any other instruments?
Well, I'm a skilled guitar player. I played for 20 years a 12-string guitar and classical guitar, also keyboard. Yeah, that's about it. I'm a little bit on piano chords to compose, but mainly guitar. Yeah.
Well, you've got Lima here, who I believe is from Uruguay. Thank you so much for joining us. And Bruno plays other instruments. So you play guitar. Thank you, Lima, so much. You play guitar. You play some piano.
Yes, it's. I think I'm not a drummer. I mean, I'm a musician, and one of the things I do is composing. And for me, it's a natural feel to take guitar and find some stuff that could be, yeah. I mean, I'm a composer basically, and you may have heard some of my compositions on my demo CDs, where I do drum demos with. So, which is also a CD that's inculcated in my book, in my 2 books. Yeah.
Well, I've got one of your books here.
The first one, yeah, that's a real challenge.
This book is one difficult book, I'll tell you.
Yeah, you know why I wrote this? I was for 3 or 4 summers long, I was doing this musical camp sponsored by the Halloween Foundation. And each year I had these kids to teach drums to. And I thought, you know what I do? I make a concept with 8 tracks, all different tracks. One is about free playing, another one is groove playing, another one is soloing, blah, blah, blah. And when the book was finally finished to use in that camp again, I was not asked anymore for the camp, but I released it through a publisher in Belgium. And then that's it. But you could say it's a combination of what I've learned from Vinnie Colaiuta and Virgil Donati, because at those days I was very influenced by these 2 guys. Yeah.
Well, I tell you something. The book itself, and you say not for drummers only. I mean, there's some really, incredible patterns in here that,
Yeah.
Triplet, quintuplet, relation. I mean, you've got some great stuff in here that's really, mind challenging. And okay, we lost him again. All right, 1 2 1 2. Here we go. I was just talking about Bruno's book, and I'll show you that too. Also, I want to show you this book here. Let me see, Bruno. Let's go over here. Let's call him back again. And you're back here again. Okay, let's bring him back in here. Let's get him back into the visual here. Here he is. All right, there you are. All right.
Yes.
So in this process, Bruno, the book itself, and I want people to know that you can track down Bruno on his Facebook page under his name, Bruno Meeus, Meeus.
Mm-hmm.
You can track down Bruno on YouTube and also on Instagram.
Uh-huh.
And you can track down on how to get Bruno's material and how to get his books and things. I mean, he's got some great stuff that's in there. Really challenging stuff in the process.
This is my second book.
And there's a reflection in there. What's the title of the book?
Warm-ups and introspection.
Just show that again. Just show that cover again. There it is. Warm-ups and introspection. Great.
Yeah, and that's a book that's more human, like for drummers who hit a brick wall and say, "What do I do next?" So I think there's a lot of books on the market nowadays with one concept, and then these are 1,000 variations of one concept, but that doesn't mean that all the other variations are useful on the bandstand. So I thought, let's write a book with the most used variations of concepts and implement this into a groove. Like I was, when I wrote that book, I was playing for 40 years already. Yeah. No, wait, 40. Yeah, 40 years, yeah. And so it's with a DVD included, and it works. It sells good, this book.
Boy, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
So talk about the fact that in these well, first of all, let me ask you this question. I'm going to go over here. I've got Peggy Ertz. I'm Bruno's health coach.
Yes.
Tell me exactly what Peggy does for you as a health coach.
Well, she talks to me. No, health coach in Herbalife systems. You know Herbalife?
Yes, absolutely, totally.
Yeah, I know her. She helped me produce the second book. On the computer were some difficulties with the program I worked with, and she's a very skilled lady, and she helped me out. And then a while ago, she phoned me, and we got back together. And then she had some suggestions to make my life healthier, and that's why we're still in contact.
Oh, well, Peggy, thank you so much. That is absolutely fantastic. And she actually mentioned something here. I think a big man, awesome on stage, amazing to see the passion, the dedication in person, eats even bigger with great respect. Thank you so much, Peggy. That's wonderful of you to say that.
Peggy saw us with the Led Zeppelin Band. That's a new project. I mean, I'm with Led Zeppelin already for 12 years. And this is a band that plays all songs of Led Zeppelin as Led Zeppelin. The only problem is when the highlights of Led Zeppelin, I think the members of the band were 25. we're older than that, so it's real powerful to do a Led Zeppelin show. But it's written Letz, Led Zeppelin.
So it's kind of like let's Zeppelin, let's
Yeah,
Zeppelin.
yeah, Led Zeppelin. And
That's
we have a lot of concerts, lots of festivals. We played in Bulgaria and England, Europe mainly.
And Peggy came down to
great.
see you there, so that's fantastic that she's supporting you.
Yeah.
Peggy, thank you so much for your attention, for sure.
Yeah.
That is great. Now we have, we spoke about a business of relationship. This is Dan Andre, who's another wonderful young drummer who's took some lessons with me. He's from the Pennsylvania area. He's an excellent player. He's in several different bands. He's got a school that he built out at his home, in his house, that he's got many students joining him, and he does all these lessons online. And Dan says it's a business of relationships, which are words of wisdom. And I know a lot of people that get that. So it's great that you observe that, Dan. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
How incredible, Bruno. As we get people from all around the world, I'm going to show you now a question here. Another great drummer and a dear friend of mine, Carlos Gutzman, who's from the Florida area. He says, Bruno, performing in Europe is harder than touring in the States many times due to the equipment challenges going from country to country. So
Well,
what advice would you give young drummers overcoming these challenges as they start in their career? Thank you, Carlos.
Okay. One, always stay cool. Always stay cool. If something happens, something bad, stay cool. Don't leave out discussions, bad things. Bring out your beautiful self and sleep enough. Drink a lot of water. Water is very important. I mean, before each show, I drink 1 liter of water. During the show, 1 liter. No, 1 liter and a half. And after the show, also 1 liter. It's very important. Our system needs that. We're practicing. We're playing at 40 degrees. I mean, it's hot out there. You need water. Another thing. Wait. Okay. Water. Be cool. Yes.
Equipment. So is it when you're traveling? Were you traveling, taking your equipment with you?
Yes.
Or were you? So you had your equipment in a van and you were driving all along the way throughout Europe.
Yes. Yes. But sometimes we play on how do you say back material that's already there. And yes. Yes, so I'm a Mapex player, but I remember 8 years ago I was touring with an American blues guitarist, Bucks Henderson from Texas, and we had one gig in Sweden, and that one gig was by plane, the rest was by a big van, and so I had to play on a Ludwig, like a John Bonham Ludwig, a transparent one. What can you do?
Yeah.
So I wrote an email to Mapex, sorry guys, but always be honest and cool, I think.
Absolutely. Well, let's talk about Mapex now. You've been playing Mapex for many years. You are in the Belgium area, but you've also won several awards as a top drummer in the Benelux area, which congratulations. You keep winning these awards, year after year, which is absolutely amazing.
Thank you.
So playing Mapex drums, I think you have is that a Saturn IV behind you now?
There's a Saturn IV. I'm playing this set for 4 or 5 years. Yeah. First, I was doing the Orion set. It was also a very powerful set.
Yeah.
But the Saturn IV gives more sharpness. I mean, exactness of the warmth is more up there. And yes, this is a special Saturn IV because I play custom-made measures. My floor toms is basically always 15 and 18 instead of 14 and 16 and 16 and 18. 15, because I think when you go from the 12 to a 16, that's a leap too far. I want it closer, like 12, 15, 18. That sounds more musical to me. And the depth of the floor toms is also 15 on 13 and then 18 on 15 because of this quick response. And these are regular rack toms, and I forgot the name, the sledgehammer. Sledgehammer is for me the best snare drum.
Woo!
If you hit it, they hear it in Tokyo. You know, it's a loud but sharp and funky snare drum. And also the design. It looks like it's designed by Vikings or something, you know.
Well,
Beautiful.
that is really hand hammered.
Yeah. And then a 13 at the left, always a 13 to keep this hand keeping away from falling asleep all the time. I use, yes, I do everything left, but then right. I practice things left and then I practice them right. And the 13-inch floor tom helps me a lot with that. I've been using this after seeing, by the way, amongst others, Dave Weckl. When I saw him the first time in the end of the 80s, he also used a 12-inch floor tom. I thought, wow. Yes, because this hand, the left hand, this all what the left hand does, you know, all the time in our drummer career. Well, this hand is allowed to go everywhere, you know, 180 degrees horizontal, 90 degrees there, China's, floor toms, whatever. And the left hand, why isn't it working when I do a fill? That's why, and that's why I have a floor tom on this side, or also roto toms, wood blocks, whatever. So that helps, but you have to commit yourself to do that.
Well,
Many people, yeah.
absolutely. So you'll practice cross-handed and open-handed playing.
Absolutely, it's very important. If I practice nowadays 3 or 4 hours a day, but not a whole week long. I mean, 3 days, then I stop. Or I go swim, or go to the sauna, or whatever. If I practice, the drum set is 1 hour, or 25% is left hand playing. Or also, that's in my second book, vertical playing. With vertical playing, I mean, like if you have the regular paradiddle, 2 hands, if you make a chord here, it's horizontal. But if you put it down, you have a vertical relationship between the right hand and the right foot, or the left hand and the left foot.
Yeah.
But nobody ever works on that. So I thought, let's do that for a while. So I tried to play double paradiddles on each vertical side, and then play solos with my free limbs at the same time on a very, very slow tempo. Now, that works.
That is,
yeah.
Those are great exercises to play for sure. Now I know you have done some teaching. I know that many of the schools are closed now because of the pandemic, but you've done teaching in Dublin at the Dublin Drumming Academy, at the Nottingham Academy, Rotterdam. I mean, you really have kind of gotten around the Bucharest Conservatory. I mean, you really have gotten around all throughout Europe at many different schools, conservatories, and universities.
Yes. Well, I was lucky to be asked by those academies, and it's also good for the language. You learn to speak French, you learn to speak Irish, English, whatever, and that worked a lot. And you see that in each country, the way of teaching is different. That's also very peculiar, which I learned a lot from teaching outside of Belgium, let me say.
Yeah.
In some countries, some countries have a drum history, like Holland, Switzerland, Scotland, and France. And some countries don't have that, but they have other things.
Right.
Yeah.
Boy, it's amazing how when you get around and travel to different countries, how we get to learn the different cultures aside from the language and the food, but just that information as I have traveled to over 60 countries, it's been amazing to experience all the different history and the great drummers that I've heard in many different countries.
You know, Dom, there was one school 10 years ago, and I was asked because the drum teacher was in the hospital. So I had 23 students, 3 times a week, and they all played like this, with their thumb and their index finger.
Yeah.
Not with all fingers, no, just like that. And after a couple of days, I said, come on, why are you guys playing like that? Oh, if we don't get high grades on our exams. What? Yeah. But there's no control. This is only good for the press roll, the circus roll, you know. And then this guy came back, this teacher who was also a church organ player when people die, you know, and he's playing like that. And then I told him, why are you teaching these guys the wrong way? Oh, there was a guy from Holland, and he demonstrates that playing like that is good. What? For the press roll, yes, but you teach them. Oh, oh man, come on! It took me a couple of weeks to teach these guys that there are at least 5 grips, like the 2 last finger grips, the circuits. There's so many grips and systems. I think each student should know of this. You know,
There really is. It's amazing, Bruno, that even though we have the power of the internet and all this information is available, there still seems to be a lot of misinformation that goes out throughout the internet.
Yeah.
And I see that also with students that come to me who are extremely confused many times with hand positions or what they have seen on the internet that maybe they might not have interpreted correctly. It's still a bit of a challenge.
there's also a difference between a grip and a system. Like molar is a system, and this is a grip. I mean, you have to see the difference between systems.
Yeah,
There's so many grips if you look out for them.
absolutely. We have done several festivals together. We did the Adams Drummers Festival. We've done
Oh yeah,
festivals
that was great.
in Diest, Belgium. We've done so many different festivals in Paris at the bag show that happens.
Yeah. I remember that. Yeah, that was
Great shows. And you've
Yeah.
played a variety of different festivals. And on those festivals, you have played alongside some of the greatest drummers in the world: Virgil Donati, Billy Cobham, Dave Weckl, so many great drummers that you've had the chance to play along to. And a lot of people, especially throughout the world, whether it's in North America or even in South America, people know you throughout Europe. But I mean, I want the world to understand that, what you're doing is some great stuff. And I want them to go out there and check out your social media and check out your books that you have, because there's some great information that they can learn.
Yes.
Many times from a drummer that they might not have been aware of. And, you've been with Mapex for many years. And, I've heard you play many times on that exact kit, that Saturn 4 kit, man.
Yeah.
You sound absolutely fantastic. I heard a clinic you did at a school, and man, you just sounded incredible. The intensity of your playing and just the passion and the dedication that you've shown.
Thank you, Don. Thank you. Yeah.
Really great stuff. In closing,
Yeah, sorry. I think one thing I want to add is that I think schools should be more working on how to be alive, how to transpose your radiation, how to be optic. That it's not only sound, Some people just play the correct groove with the face like that, but you should smile, very important, and throw that stick in the air. That's so yeah. The first time I thought, I can't do it, and I practiced 100 times, 1 turn, 2 turns. But it didn't work. You have to do it 3,000 times at least, and then it'll work on the bandstand. So I sit here in front of the news about COVID, like that. That's the only thing I can do while the news is on. And I'm not listening to the COVID business. I just throw the sticks in the air. Bro, and that's so important to have, these people, they're buying tickets and, life is bad. And, look at the drummer. Oh, he's great. But the virtuoso drummer who looks like that, nobody sees him. You have to be visible. I think that's the next step in the conservatoria. But yeah.
Great advice, Bruno. It's kind of interesting that I want people to really understand to do the research and check into what you're doing, and go out there and track down many of your recordings and track down Bruno's books. You are actively doing it. Once this pandemic is over, you'll get back out and perform again, and we're going to have some more fun, and I'll be able to get back to Belgium and see you again and hear so many great drummers that I enjoy when I travel around the world.
I wanted to add another little story about Virgil. To show that his hearing is very okay. One day I was in Pasadena watching Virgil Donati with Planet X, And after the show, he invited me, come, let's have a drink on the boulevard somewhere. So we went to a boulevard, direction a mango drink cafe or something. And he said, stop, middle of the street, stop. I said, what's wrong? Don't you hear that? Somebody's practicing. I didn't hear anything. So we went to drink mango juice. Half an hour later, we returned. We crossed the street. We went back to the direction where we came from. And he said, I hear it again. I said, what do you hear? And then a little bit further, there were these iron mechanic puppets on the ground for like $5. And there was a drummer. Tick, 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 tick. And Virgil hears it on the boulevard with passing cars and lorries and everything. He hears that. Can you imagine that? This is beautiful.
Virgil is an incredibly special person, as he is a special musician. He is talented at so many levels, and he's still playing stronger than ever and playing better than ever. And he's got so many great albums that he has out. So that's so great to hear. Great story. Bruno, thank you so much. It's great.
Okay. Thanks, everybody.
We've had people from all around the world that have listened to us. I thank you all for joining me. And thank you, Peggy, for joining us and coming here to hear
Bye-bye.
From her joining us. On behalf of Mapex All Access, Bruno, thank you so much. Everyone, stay well, stay safe, and I'll see you all next Monday. Absolutely.
Thank you, Don. Cheers.
Thanks so much.